Curiosity and doubt are powerful things, but maybe not as powerful as the boogeyman. Let's talk about it.
Say something!
Hey guys, what's going on? I wanted to talk about a couple of themes that are present throughout the entire Halloween franchise, and specifically in the David Gordon Green trilogy. And it's something that really stood out to me and also gave me a lot of appreciation for the way that the story was crafted and the way that they introduced these new characters. But before I get into that, if you're a horror fan, if you're a Halloween fan, this is the place for you, the Night Watch Zone. Don't forget to hit the like button and join our amazing movie community by subscribing to the channel. In my personal opinion, when you talk about curiosity and when you talk about doubt, as far as it is when you connect it to the boogeyman, the shape, Michael Myers, you've got to think about certain characters throughout the franchise. You know, you think about Tommy, who was so curious about the boogeyman, also a lot of fear, and was told not to believe in the boogeyman by so many people, including Laurie Strode herself. And when you look at the new trilogy, specifically with Halloween 2018, we're introduced to Dana and Aaron, these podcasters, these journalists who are trying to uncover the why and the how behind the 78 babysitter murders. And in this process, they become these new characters that is, to me, a parallel for the audience, a parallel for us. Us as Halloween fans, the people that have been watching these movies from the get-go, there's always been those questions about why does Michael do what he does? What motivates him? What sets him off? What guides him? And these two characters in particular that I want to talk about really are a physical manifestation of that. They are literally us. And you see them in the beginning going to Smith's Grove and trying to talk to Michael to get him to speak. They meet Sartain. Sartain himself is an interesting character, a dark character. He says that he's a student of Loomis. He says that he lobbied to be Michael's doctor and so forth. And we find out so much more about him later on in the story. But when they go into that courtyard, and I've talked about this scene many times because it's a fascinating scene, a very simple scene. By the way, if you haven't checked out my latest video on that, check it out. It was really cool. Right there or here, wherever it may be. But the point is, when you see this scene in the courtyard and Michael in the middle of all of these other patients, and he is like a statue. James Drew Courtney was so amazing in this scene without saying a word, with barely any movement at all. And it's again that idea of that calm within the storm, because these other patients, they are moving, they're human like, and Michael is not. But as Aaron is trying to get a conversation out of Michael, he does the one thing that basically was like that switch. He pulls out the mask, and as soon as he does that, all the patients, they go crazy, right? Even the dogs, they go crazy. Michael is the only one that is not reacting to the mask. The only thing he does is the slight turn to the side, just a really quick little movement from James Drew Courtney. But the point being is, in that moment, it's like that switch was turned on. Michael was activated and he's back on task. Now, this is the interesting thing, because through this scene, Aaron and Dana, they're on the outside looking in, literally. They want to know what makes Michael tick. They want to know why he did what he did. He's been incarcerated for 40 years. It's a very curious project that they're working on, but they get nothing. And even when Aaron is yelling at Michael, say something!
Say something!
Nothing at all. Then they figure, well, let's talk to Laurie Strode, the other side of the coin. And they get no answers from her as well. She said there's no new insights, no reasoning. But one thing that was interesting is one of the first thing that Aaron says, he says, "Is he real? The boogeyman." And it was interesting because, again, you have this understanding that he does not believe in the boogeyman. And even Laurie says, "You don't believe in the boogeyman, do you?" And he says, "Well, I believe in Michael Myers, a deranged serial killer." And Laurie told him, she says to him, "Well, you should." Now, again, this is that whole concept of curiosity and doubt. And I think what's interesting in this movie is that eventually, and we know what happens to these characters, this is going to be their downfall. This is going to be their downfall. They're pouring through papers, they're listening to audio recordings of Loomis, just trying to get into the head of Michael. And even Sartain in the beginning of the movie said he's been seen by over 50 doctors, and they're all saying different things. They're all saying different things. Loomis said he was pure evil, but he's the only one to have seen him in the wild. So this leads them further down a path to their own doom. When they go to that gas station, Aaron has no clue that Michael has followed them after Michael broke out. And this one lady, it was an interesting scene, who was in a van, and the word Resurrection Church, I believe, is on the side, but Resurrection is there. And that's obviously a wink and a nod to Halloween Resurrection, but she doesn't say anything. She just looks in Aaron's direction and then takes her eyes off to the side, basically saying, "Hey, there's the guy. Get away from that guy. Watch out for that guy." You know, there are certain characters in this franchise that can actually sense the evil in Michael. They can sense that, I don't want to be near him. You know what I'm saying? But of course, not many people do, and that's part of their downfall, just like it was for Aaron and for Dana. In the bathroom scene, which was obviously a nod to H2O, and before she goes into the bathroom, you see Michael in the background killing a mechanic, because hey, he needs to change into his clothes, you know that, the mechanic suit. Mechanics, the worst job that you could have in Haddonfield. Okay, if you're working at a gas station, or if you're a mechanic at a garage, you better watch out, seriously, every Halloween. But you know, in that bathroom scene, it's done with so much tension, and I really enjoyed how they took their time with that scene, as far as how Michael was walking from one stall to another. And Dana, of course, you just got to feel bad for her, because she's in a situation where she can't run. She literally can't run. And when Aaron comes into the bathroom realizing that it's Michael, and hits him with the crowbar right upside the head, Michael doesn't even flinch. And to me, I think part of it was Michael wants to get that mask. That's what Michael wants to do. He wants to get that mask. So he kills Aaron, he kills Dana. And so their curiosity and their doubt in the boogeyman, not believing in the boogeyman, was their downfall. And then Michael gets the mask. Now, here's the thing. Michael didn't need to kill them to get the mask. He could have just gone to the car when Dana was in the bathroom and Aaron goes into the place to pay for the gas. He could have just taken it then, or he could have done it 1,000 different ways. But the point I want to make is he kills them. And I don't think it's necessarily a revenge thing. You know, I don't think that at all. But it just plays into this whole idea that if you don't believe in the boogeyman, bad things are going to happen to you. And we've seen that time and time and time again. I referenced Tommy from 78, so curious about the boogeyman. And then when you see him in Halloween Kills, that curiosity, it changes to obsession. And he had curiosity and fear in 78, right? And in Kills, it almost changes into obsession, because he wants to overcome his childhood fear, his childhood obstacle, his childhood trauma. That leads him down a dark path and ultimately to his doom. Even Laurie Strode in 78, she didn't believe in the boogeyman. Tommy tried to warn her. She didn't believe in it. She said, "No, nothing's going to happen. I'm here." And it almost cost her life. It definitely took the life of her best friends, Linda and also Annie. So the thing about Laurie, she was dead to rights if it wasn't for Dr. Loomis. Because again, doubting the boogeyman, not believing in the myth. And this whole idea is really interesting with Halloween because it plays out in a really cool way with tension and suspense, setting up these characters to literally face the boogeyman, face what they don't believe in. And of course, usually it ends into their own doom. And we've seen it time and time and time again. It obviously happens to Karen as well. That doubt that she had, the doubt that she had in her mother. Ultimately, in Halloween Kills, she starts to realize that, hey, this was my mother was right. Through the events at the end of Halloween 2018, she realizes my mother was right. And then it becomes an obsession of sorts for Karen, and that leads her to her doom. So the bottom line is, a very interesting thing with the Halloween films is that they really play into that mythology of the boogeyman, and you should believe in him. You should beware of him. And I think it's a really, really cool aspect of the films. And I was so happy to see that they were able to do that effectively in the new trilogy, specifically with 2018 and even in Kills and Ends to a different degree. But it was a very, very cool aspect that you don't get in a lot of films, even in films where you have the antagonist that is, either a legend or a myth or a silent figure or whatever. They really play into it with Halloween. And part of that is just it's just the mythology of Michael Myers. That's why he's the shape. That's why he's one of the best of all time. So anyways, for you guys, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Do you think that this idea of curiosity and doubt has been a theme running through the Halloween films? And if so, what are some of your favorite examples of it? But what did you think about it specifically in the new trilogy and in 2018 with Dana and Aaron being to what I think is a parallel for us as the viewer, because we want to know why he does what he does. We want to know why he killed Judith. But the bottom line, and I think that's what David Gordon Green was saying, just like John Carpenter before him and other directors, is we don't need to know why. We're not going to find out why. It doesn't matter. He just does what he does. Anyways, listen, if you're a horror fan, if you are a Halloween fan, this is the place for you, the Night Watch Zone. So definitely subscribe, become a part of our wonderful community. And if you'd like to see more Halloween content, I've got a playlist with over 100 videos that you can sit back to enjoy. So check out one of those right now. I'll catch you later. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you are the Night Watch. Peace.